Hi everyone, this is Dr. James Scott Jr. with Scott Free Clinic, and give me just a minute to explain to you the unusual way we're opening this special edition Church Leaders newsletter with a video rather than just writing something. And that's because the content is, I think, so important. I wanted to explain to you what is underneath this video and what we want to share and why. I want to talk to you just for a second about mental health, and that idea might make your head explode. Doesn't have to. I actually have some good news to share with you about the possibilities of things. Prior to the pandemic, America was already experiencing a mental health crisis. The pandemic was like fuel on a fire, and Tim Clinton, who's the president of the American Association of Christian Counselors, describes the outcome of what the pandemic did to mental health as turning it into a national mental health disaster. And as a church leader, you may understand that more and more because you're probably experiencing people in your congregation and in your community with mental health needs, mental health issues, or even diagnosed mental illnesses. What do you do? How do you handle that? What's the answer? I think so often we've reached a place where ministers say, I don't want to play therapist. I'm not trained for that. And they've gotten more persistent in either referring, or there's still stigma tied to mental health, and some churches don't want to have anything to do with counseling or psychology or anything like that. But there's a great discussion on this topic that leads to some good possibilities. That is why you're getting this newsletter. And that is this. There is a time and a place, and there's many times and places where one of the best things you could do is refer someone to a mental health professional. There's also some times and places where you or someone in your church can be what the person really needs as far as connecting and just being a person who cares. But we also understand that pastors have their own skyrocketing mental health issues, and one of those being that you're stretched so thin that taking on this is too much. There's a way to lighten your burden of dealing with mental health issues for your congregation and your community to get you some help. That's really what I want to talk to you about today. Okay, so immediately underneath this video, I want to introduce you to the Carey Nieuwhof podcast. So many of you might be familiar with Carey Nieuwhof. He has a podcast featuring Shaunti Feldhahn, who is an extraordinary and just a terrific Harvard-trained Christian researcher. She's phenomenal at what she does. And Dr. James Sells, who is a great psychologist, and they have been working on how the church can play a greater role in meeting the mental health needs within local congregations and in your communities, and helping to ease the burden of all of that from the pastor and church leaders. There is a significant role the church can play and lay people can play in helping to serve the very real needs in a major mental health crisis. So we're sharing this newsletter to encourage you and to ask you, would you please take time to listen completely and thoroughly to this podcast that is immediately below this. They're going to have a very, very good discussion, and I think you'll see that they really have a good understanding of how overwhelming this can be for church leaders. But there's also some real hope and ways that local congregations and the people that you serve can help lighten that burden for you, but also for those in your congregation and in your community. There's some answers there. And they've even then developed some materials and a program and free training and all of these different things to make some good things happen. So that's in the section immediately below this introduction video. After that, I once again share how the American Association of Christian Counselors has free or full scholarships for their training through their Light University division to train and equip anyone in your congregation. It doesn't have to be you. It could be a fellow staff person. It could be an elder. It could be a deacon. It could be anyone in your church that you think really has an interest in this and would be capable to be trained to become a certified mental health coach first responder. So not a counselor, not a clinician, but a mental health coach first responder, someone who has some good training about being a first responder to those in your congregation who have mental health needs and those in your community who approach the church for some help. The interesting thing is research shows us that definitely within the church, but even also often in the community, if someone with a mental health need actually will seek help, usually the first place they go is either to a pastor, a church leader, or someone within the church. So I think that you can find this information insightful, worth your time, and valuable. And then there's the optional level of some training that can be offered through the American Association of Christian Counselors. And then finally, just a reminder, one way that you can have basically the equivalent of your own Christian clinical counseling center is to connect with Scott Free Clinic. We remove the barriers of cost and access to help people get the help that they need. But I actually think that if you take the time to go through this, it can stir you to some thoughtful and prayerful consideration of what your congregation and you can do in 2026 regarding mental health. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can reach me at dr.scott@scottfreeclinic.com. That's dr.scott@scottfreeclinic.com. I hope that perhaps some good ideas and some hopeful thinking can come your way by working your way through this newsletter. Thank you.